computer. Here we go. Hey, Max.
Cool. All right, what's going on?
How are you, buddy?
Good. Yeah, happy to be here. Finally get it booked in with the
I
time
know, like,
zones. Always a bit of a mission.
yeah, it's all good, man. It's all worth the wait. I know that it's been like an every month thing. Let's try this. Let's try this. I mean, let's tell everybody where we're at. I'm in California, and you are in
I'm Bali,
Bali.
Bali, Indonesia.
Yeah, we had
Loving
actually
it.
connected a long time ago. So just to let our viewers and listeners know, so just like most of the people and the yogis I've met through Instagram, and Max has really gotten my attention very early on. Originally, we featured you on November 2023. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of like why I went to bring you on here to tell your story, do you mind to share a little bit about yourself, my friend? Tell us how you ended up in Bali,
Yeah.
because I know you're not from there, and I thought that you were going back home a year or 2 years ago. What happened? Tell us everything.
Yeah. So I was in London for 3 years teaching yoga, and before that was in my family area for about 5 years. The London moving there decision was just with a group of friends, like, oh, we're not going to uni, let's try out London, get a house together and just see how it goes. So I was teaching around London 3 years, about 15, 20 classes a week. Um, then I had my head injury. Then once I was kind of coming from recovery, it was supposed to be 2 year recovery, but it was about 6 months and I was back teaching yoga, but just 3 or 4 classes a week, and getting pretty tired out. To then be like, okay, I don't think this is enough now for me to be able to survive in London and not wanting to move back to my parents. So maybe I can take a break and I'll go do a yin yoga training to delve a bit more into the holistic side of yoga, and the health benefits. So found this training in Bali. Was originally just doing 2 months. Went out, did the course. As it finished, they were like, "Oh, we've not got a teacher that's coming from, I think, Portugal, to kind of work for the summer months. Would you like that job?" So I said yes, but I know maybe I can do a few months till the English summer starts, and I'll head back. Um, so started with that. 2 months in, COVID starts. I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, what do I do? I stay Bali or go back to London. Decided to stay, thinking it would obviously only last, I don't know, like a 6 weeks, 2 months, whatever. But it just kept going on and on and on. It got more and more strict. But Bali didn't get strict really. It stayed very, very kind of open and chill. Just people
Mhm.
couldn't leave or come into the country like internationally.
Yeah.
After about a year, I'd met a solid group of friends, kind of established that family area, and just felt really at home. Then going into that second year was like, okay, I guess I could really live here, but I now need to start earning again. So I
Mhm.
applied for all the working visas. Um, then started teaching just to anyone that was like expats here or the locals in the studios. Luckily, got a good job at the good studio, and they normally take more kind of internationally recognized teachers with a higher profile, a higher status, and more experience than I had at the time.
Mhm.
So I got lucky being like the only one that had the right amount of experience at the time in the area. So started teaching. Then, yeah, another year and a half like that, 2 years. So it's four, by that time, 4 years in total. I still hadn't gone back to the UK.
Mhm.
Um, then that was in winter. And I was like, right, do I go back now at Christmas time, more opportunity to see family, but it's going to be freezing cold? Do I
Yeah.
wait till summer? But my mum was like, are you not coming back? Are you ever coming back? And I was like, okay, let's say I'm not coming back, but tell my dad I'm coming back. Let's not tell mom. Let's keep it a surprise, and I'll just rock up within a few days. So I did that, and she was very, very shocked, um, to see me. She was actually, I was stood at the front door, and she didn't even know who I was. She was looking down the corridor, and the way the sunlight was coming into the house, and like she couldn't see me properly. She's like, "Hello, hello, who's that? Who's that?"
Oh,
All
that's
scared.
amazing. That's amazing.
And then my
Yeah.
dad was looking at her. She's like, "Look, who is it?" And she's like, "Oh my God, Max! Oh my God, oh my God!" And like freaked out. And yeah, that was a big emotional reunion. Ended up just staying home for about a month between London and where my folks lived.
Mhm.
Um, then yeah, had that flight already booked back to Bali, so I was kind of eager to get back and out of the cold.
Hmm.
and then I've been back now another year and a bit.
Yeah. So
So back on the yoga.
I mean, it sounds like you've settled in Bali where you're really super comfortable there.
Yeah,
Yeah. Is it
it's
like
very
so?
very easy to get comfortable and to stay because of affordable living,
Yeah.
affordable living costs of eating out, and
Hmm.
not cooked for myself really, other than the occasional kind of bacon sandwiches, scrambled egg, kind of just
Yeah.
making up some small things. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So tell me, so okay, so you're already a yoga teacher. You said you were drawn there, and then you took yin yoga teacher training. What other styles were you teaching prior to?
so prior to that, I was teaching Budokan, which is a martial arts style yoga,
Yeah. Sure.
um, which is developed by Cameron Shane over in America.
Mm-hmm.
Then I did a hot yoga training in London, a broga training in somewhere else in the UK, Cambridge, I think it was
Okay.
Gloucestershire. And
Yeah.
that was, yeah, just like a 5 day kind of 70-hour extension course that you already had to kind of have a personal training course for or a 200-hour yoga course, which I had both anyway at that time.
Yeah.
So then that kind of built up my hours. I then did like an arm balance and inversion training back in the States with Bryony
Mhm.
and Dice. They're a
Okay.
big kind of couple at the time, and then had this really nice sequence and acro yoga and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, then was that was before London. So then into London, teaching there, then into Bali for the yin course. So I've got five courses, different styles, but
Yeah.
mainly focus on like power yoga and hot yoga and kind of that fast-based, strength-based vinyasa.
Yeah. Totally. So how did you fall in love with yin that you decided, yeah, I'm gonna add this to my portfolio? I mean, it's yin. I find yin to be like a really, really special style of yoga because it takes a special type of teacher to actually be able to like embrace that in addition to like flow and power because it's so different. It's
Yeah,
for me, there's a mental challenge also, not necessarily for the teacher, but for a student to make that transition. So I'm always like
yeah,
curious, like, what is it about yin that drew you as a
yeah.
student where you said, I want to teach this too?
I think more the fact that I'd recovered with yoga from the brain injury and had like such a potential life-saving choice that I'd made with doing yoga the whole time, but I'd never done the like slow yoga, the more rehabilitation and helping for injuries and maybe the elderly and the less mobile people.
Yeah,
So I was like, okay, maybe this has helped me. So maybe I should do something with my yoga journey that's not just about the fitness style of it and the teaching side,
yeah,
but being like, okay, this is good for recovery, this is that, and more kind of getting into how I can help others that are
yeah,
joining classes and to rehabilitate people after injuries, and especially with big injuries like to the head and to the brain, to the spine and whatnot.
yeah,
Um, so just was like, okay, let me do this as a form of helping others, but nothing for myself. Then start teaching straight away, realized that for me it was very very difficult, very boring, very like I'm not feeling anything, so I kept forcing myself into a stretch so that I had the ego like, oh, I'm feeling something for 5 minutes, instead of just sat there feeling like I'm doing nothing for
yeah,
5 minutes and then being in my head like, wow, twiddling my thumbs, I'm really bored sort of
yeah,
vibe.
yeah,
And
yeah,
ADHD just or not, I don't know, just
yeah,
very hard to kind of settle and be still. So I was like, I never really go to yin classes myself. I just kind of do the classes when I'm teaching, get
yeah,
people into their position, check alignment, give
yeah,
some adjustments, and then I'm just back on my mat the next few minutes, giving some whatnot spiritual splee about the benefits of kind of that style of yoga in case people are there wondering, like, right, well, this is really not for me.
yeah,
And they might be, yeah, that younger crowd of like, oh, by the way, if you've not done yin before, it's supposed to be like this, remember?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
just kind of give them that kind of reassurance that if they are bored, if they are like, yeah, this isn't for me, just to give it time, give it a chance.
Yeah. Well, I got to give you flowers, man. I always like seeing like the younger crowd or a younger teacher actually, teach Ian because people don't know what it is, and I think you said the magic words. It's like one of those healing, more bouncing back from injury. Somebody who might less mobile, because
Yeah,
I fell in love with it during the pandemic. I went back and also got trained in Yin because I was seeing students practice online, and I'm like, no, 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 we need something a little bit more, like, because
Yeah.
they're just kind of flinging all over, and it's I don't know. I just saw people's practice in a new light, and I'm like, we need to add some yin because people are so wired 24/7, and being cooped up like that during the pandemic, I didn't think the flow and power was serving them. And so I just really leaned in and tried to, really take on yin for myself, my own practice. And when we reopened the studio after the pandemic, I end up teaching more yin than I did power. It just worked out
Yeah.
like that, and I do tell students, like, for those of you fairly new and just curious about this practice, is set the intention for you to heal, and and also train and give your mind a practice of just kind of like paying attention, not having to like worry about the
Yeah.
next move and not moving to breath, but like super grounding, you know.
Yeah.
I do I love the post that you put out there though when you were doing your reels. You're like, okay, what really happens during a 5 minute hold, and you went shopping and you went it'd be
Right.
like while
Yeah.
everybody was on hold and like you're doing your grocery list or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
trying to do some yoga parodies to draw attention and whatnot.
Oh yeah, no, that's
Um,
great, man. That was great.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
do you mind talking to us a little bit about like what had happened to you, brother? What were you doing on a rooftop, and who was this crazy
Just my
Max?
lifestyle.
Was it? Is
My
it your
lifestyle
ulterior?
doesn't.
Yeah, is this your alter ego? Is it Party Max? Like, tell us what Max is
Yes.
like off the mat.
Yeah. So off the mat, you would everyone I meet, everyone, they're like, I can't believe you're a yoga teacher. I did not expect that.
Yeah.
Either it's the way I carry myself, it's the maybe the look, the tattoos, um, the piercings, and just I mean, maybe a lot of yoga teachers and that kind of style will have tattoos, but they might look a little bit more spiritual. Like I have one Om tattoo, but everything else is pretty more like generic to that kind of pop art and kind of tattoo model kind of lifestyle, and someone that wouldn't maybe into yoga, but they're more about the party scene and like the pretty boy stage tattoo model era.
Hmm.
And yeah, then people will find that like, oh, I can't believe you're a yoga teacher and Pilates teacher. Like this is very random, and you're drinking and you're smoking. I'm like, well, that's outside of my lifestyle. It's like I'm doing Monday to Friday with the yoga, and then I can party on the weekend, or depending on my schedule, I might have a weekday off as well.
Hmm.
Um, and I've just been able to do that since I started yoga at 16. I started partying at 16, so I just put the two together, and I was like, well, if I want to work and I want to party, then I need to keep teaching these classes. I can't call in sick. I've got to go. So I'd be out till 2 in the morning, but still be up at 8 in the morning for my class. And it might
Hmm.
be a hot yoga, and I'd just be sweating and detoxing everything out. And then I'd feel great again, no hangover.
Yeah.
And then just kind of continuously pushing that, pushing that, pushing that. And I'm like, wow, I really just don't get hangovers, do I? I'm living that miracle. I'm young. They're
Yeah.
like, just wait, just wait. When you get to late 20s, 30s, you're going to really feel it. Still, barely feel it. I'm 29 now.
Yeah. I can't believe you're not
Whether
even
it's
30
just my
yet, man.
metabolism for processing
Yeah.
alcohol, I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic.
And I shouldn't drink with the brain injury. They're like, don't ever drink again. It will really mess you up. And I was like, okay, I definitely see some drawbacks for sure, but not enough to kind of scare me or put me off drinking.
Yeah.
God forbid anything happens again. And how I want to keep my parents happy and all the people that haven't been as fortunate as me with a brain injury. They're like, oh, how could you be so stupid and still drink? And I was like, well, it's just a big part of my lifestyle. All my friends are in that
Yeah.
area of life and
Yeah.
work different 9 to 5 jobs, and I'm the only one that's really in the fitness industry and health and wellness. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, at least I do all this. I'm still teaching 20 classes a week and 8 hot yoga classes a week. So it's really sweating out, detoxing,
Mhm.
just setting me up for basically another night out.
Yeah.
And I wonder, wow,
Perfect.
if I didn't go out
Yeah.
and just did like, a few months, I'm sure my body transformation could be very, very incredible. And then now I'd have another side of things to show, like, don't party, just keep doing hot yoga, find this, then you'll have a quick weight loss and ripped abs and
Yeah.
the lifestyle you want, the body you want. So
Yeah. I mean, hey,
I'm
you're
still waiting to find that journey.
yeah, I mean, not that I encourage any particular behavior. I would say that whatever it is that you do, and this is going out to the whole universe out there, do all the stuff that you need to do and get out of your system by the time you're 40. Because when you turn 40, that's where you're like, okay, I figured out what I'm going to keep and what I'm going to drop so that I can move on to the next
Yeah.
level of life. I was a big party boy till yesterday. You know, like
Yeah,
there's like times where it's like, oh my God, my calendar's got cleared and I guess I can have Manhattans today all day.
yeah, yeah,
It's just when you get to my age, you have to like plan these things. One of the questions my mom would ask me too, she'd like, do you still take your ecstasy? I'm like, no, we don't call it ecstasy anymore. We call it Molly now. She goes, oh, do you
yeah,
still take your drugs? I'm like, I can't. I teach on Saturdays. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it's not because I don't like it anymore. It's like it's just I have to go to work and my body just can't handle that. But
yeah,
I still talk to people about like, live your life fully and not dangerously. I think there's a huge difference,
yeah,
a lot of people sometimes they get lost in the party and realize like I would encourage people celebrate your life, don't escape it.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you
It's
work.
more like do it for those that can't,
Oh yeah, if you're having a
ones
good
that
time because you're
can't move if
celebrating.
they have accidents.
Oh my God. So, I mean, do you remember what happened with you? Like, was there like a time where you just don't remember what happened by the time you got to your
I
rooftop? Was it just another
I
night?
remember everything up to falling off, so probably a minute before.
Yeah.
Yeah, which they
So,
said is also very rare to remember that close
yeah.
to the incident. Normally, you might lose a few weeks.
Yeah.
Um, I lost the weeks after, so like, wait, once I woke up, within like 2 days later, we're kind of in and out of a coma and just a dazed state. And then when my first kind of like, oh, I'm aware of, they told me I'm in hospital. That was like a week and a half, and then I just remember each day waking up and being like, oh yeah, I'm in hospital. And I was like, they said I had an accident. And I just drift off back to sleep, wake up the next day and be like, why am I here? Oh yeah, I had an accident. And that lasted for 3 weeks, like the post-traumatic amnesia. But I could still remember, yeah, like right up to the moment. I remember I was on the roof and I've been kicked out of this bar, trying to sneak behind and pour my own drinks. It was so busy. And I was like, oh yeah, they pushed me out, kicked me out, and I go up on the roof, call my mates, and I'm on the phone. I can see them. I'm looking down this like skylight, and in my head, I was looking like through slits in like a window blind, and I could see into the club. But I was actually looking down. And then they're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm up here on the roof. I'm here on the roof." But I just have that one image of like a window that I'm looking through. I'm like,
Mhm.
"I'm gonna get off the roof soon. Just meet me outside." And then yeah, walked over to the edge, see the drop. I was like, I can land that. I can land on my feet. I'll just like sit down and gently pop myself off and land on my feet from being used to like parkour and not scared of heights and thinking it wasn't that high,
Um,
which in my head it wasn't.
yeah.
But then the way apparently I chose to get down wasn't to pop off, but to kind of rotate myself around, put my hands on like the wall, like a ledge, and then lower myself down like I'm doing a push up into chaturanga and then lose my balance and my feet don't kind of connect with the wall beneath me. There's like an
Mhm.
overhang, so my feet swing under and the rest of my body pushes against the wall. And then I think I either slip and hit my head first, so that splits and knocks me out. And then I fall back and land on like the side of my head, slap, ricocheted the brain. So I have a bleed on like this side and then a bigger one on this side from the rebound,
Mhm.
blood coming out my ears, unconscious, just laying in a mess on the floor, right outside the entrance to the club, where there then happened to be a fight happening outside. This body's just dropped down in front of us. Like, what the hell was that? And then the bouncers, everyone checking in, um, people wrapping up my head in towels with the blood's coming out, and then calling the ambulance. And
Mhm.
then yeah, choosing a few mates to. Well, I mean, they kind of got me into the ambulance. They're heading towards one hospital. Whilst I'm in there, they put like a stent, which is that like metal tube in the
Yeah.
pipe to release the blood from the pressure from the
No
brain.
pressure.
And then they realized that this is a lot worse. We actually need to go to the other hospital an extra hour away, which is like one of the best neurological wards in the world, at St. George's Hospital in London, in Tooting. So I went back there. Then I was there. They then had to wait to operate until either next of kin or something, father, mother, brother would come and sign the waiver to say we need to perform life-saving surgery. And that can have like issues with the people if they're religious. They're like, that's an act of God. We don't want you to perform. So they just have to check things like that.
Mhm.
Um, so then they managed to get hold of my brother who was in London at the time watching I think one of the World Cup rugby games.
Yeah.
So he's getting this phone call, but he's hungover from the night out, I'm sure. Comes into the hospital, does the paperwork, gets hold of my dad. Like, Max has had a bad accident. He might die. He's in a coma, head injury. You need to come to hospital. because he's not going to make it and all this. So then kind of get me out of that, go into like a 7 hour surgery. Um, then the doctors come out and say surgery's gone very, very well, very to how the procedure should be. We're just letting him rest now in intensive care for about a week. On life support. Well, not I don't think life support, but just like intensive care unit.
Mhm.
So I guess I had all the tubes and whatnot, but I don't think they were like extremely worried that I was going to die at that point then, but more, am I going to be like functional mentally, physically,
Yeah.
not like, uh, I don't like the term, but yeah, like vegetable state to be kind of paralyzed, waist down, neck down,
Hmm.
brain dead.
Yeah.
And then, was kind of within a week was, up gibberish, chat, confused, but that was just a lot of the morphine and the painkillers, kind of like those videos you see, like
Yeah.
David after the dentist, the little boy where he gets his wisdom teeth out and he's just like speaking absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
was like that for about 2 weeks.
Wow,
Um,
man.
yeah. And then after that, I just feel like I was snapped out of it. I was like, oh, I'm good. Why am I here? Then I started like 2 weeks of staying in there. I was like paranoid, like, why won't they let me go? I feel fine. And then, just more tests, more recovery.
Yeah.
Um, then they're like, what do you do? Well, I was like, I'm a yoga teacher. Well, they spoke to my parents, obviously, and they're like, he's been doing yoga for like 8 years, full time, 10
Hmm.
classes, 15 a
Hmm.
week.
Hmm.
And they're like, oh, this must be it. This must be his mind and body connection and that
That's
spiritual side
amazing.
and the breath work and his
Yeah.
whatever, just all functioning better and his high ability to have a good cognitive ability of like direction and multitasking, teaching whilst also checking people's alignment, whilst remembering what I'm saying, what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
they just thought that part of my brain was really heightened, was making up for a lot of the other parts of my brain, which was then lowered.
Yeah.
Um, to them being, like, I want to do some handstands. I'm doing handstands in the hospital. I'm asking if I can teach the staff a yoga class just to prove to them that I'm fine and they can let me out. So I do that. And
Yeah.
they're like, yes, you're still not fine. I was like, why? So then would get a little bit angry and I was like, mood swings. So then
Yeah.
they're like, okay, see what we mean? Like, we're testing you and you're showing us the answers. Like, you are getting angry, you're getting agitated, you're quick to that anger. And I was like, okay. Then it was
Yeah.
like trying
And
to
you weren't like that
be
before?
consciously aware of everything.
You weren't
Huh?
short-tempered before?
Yeah, but I was very, very like would hide it away a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, would
Okay.
be
All right.
fine.
So you were just extra.
Yeah, a little bit
Yeah.
like
Well, I
yeah,
mean, it's
fast to
I can't
fast to think
imagine
actually.
being in a headstand in inversion, handstand, like all that blood flowing into your head that just had
Yeah,
trauma.
yeah, they were like,
Good
you shouldn't be
idea,
doing
right?
this.
Right. Well,
I
our
did
mind's
did
all
get dizzy.
yeah, our mind's always
Yeah,
going to tell us like, I got this, but the body's like, bro,
yeah,
not yet.
yeah. So even now, like I can do back bend, like a full wheel back bend, but if I do, I have to start from the ground and push up because then my head goes back just for a moment and it's hanging upside down in the right space. But if I stand up and put my head up and drop back, that really makes me dizzy. I don't know why there's such a big difference, but from a
Yeah.
standing position, dropping back versus already in like wheel, or if I'm in a handstand and I drop over to the back bend, that's also fine for me. It's just,
Yeah.
like dropping back the head or laying flat and just like, oh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
get super dizzy very quickly.
That's crazy, man. So how long was did they take you through like therapy? Obviously, there's some therapy involved, like
So 2.5 months.
2.5 months.
Then I'd have occupational therapy where they come to the
Occupational
house.
therapy. Yes. Yes.
Physiotherapy, occupational therapy was the main one. They'd come to the house once, and the guy was like, "I've got the wrong house." He's like, "You're definitely Max from this." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay," because I've never seen some patient like you for my job in years, where they turn up and you're not in a wheelchair, you're not on crutches. He's like, "You can walk, you can talk, like you're fine." I was like, "Yeah, thank you." He's like, "Right, let me do some things with you. Can you just answer these questions? And how have I been? How have I been sleeping?" And he's like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go now, but if you have any questions, just contact me, and I'm gonna give my report back to the staff at the hospital." And the report was just like, Max seems in a very, very comfortable, steady position, ready to go back to work, just to not push it too much and to
Yeah.
have naps. I actually still nap quite a lot. Most days I'll nap at like 2 in the afternoon because I have
Yeah.
gaps between classes. Depends how much I'm teaching in the day. If I'm up early for a 6:30 class, and then I
Hmm.
have two in the evening
Hmm.
today, like 7 p.m. and 5 p.m., I'll probably, because I didn't sleep well last night, by about 2 p.m. today, I'm sure I'll be having a doze on the couch.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow, man. Jesus. So let me see. Any metal plates? Any
No,
metal?
so I just
Nope.
had the stitches, like 25 stitches up the side,
Yeah.
um, where they cut me open.
Yeah.
Um, then just broke the neck in two spaces at C1 and C6.
Mm-hmm.
I had some issues with my wrist, a lot of tendons here, felt very, very numb and trapped.
Yeah.
My jaw, I think somewhere the jaw broke, it locked something, so I had no taste on the side of my tongue for about 6 months.
Okay.
That's all back to normal now.
Go back to normal. Yeah.
Couldn't open my jaw very wide. That's also improved, so I can get my jaw open.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, eyebrows, yeah, fractured socket, the skull, jaw,
Hmm.
the side of the hand, and cheekbone as well.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna try to I'm gonna try this joke. Hopefully it lands. Are you triggered by rooftops?
Triggered by what?
Are you triggered by rooftops, or do you still go to rooftops?
Oh no, no. So I live on a higher place with a balcony. I'm on like the fourth floor.
All
And I
right. So
sit
you're not
against the edge of the
traumatized
balcony, and my
by it.
friends are like, "Why are you doing that?"
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right. You're
and
not
I've got
traumatized by
videos on my
that.
Instagram of me jumping off balconies into the swimming pool, and I went to a cliff jumping spot last weekend where
Uh-huh.
I'm doing like headfirst down the waterfall in the slide and jumping
Yeah.
off from different heights.
Yeah.
So yeah, no trauma. In fact, probably more less of a trauma, more of a
Yeah.
push to do it more often.
Yeah. And so I mean, like, so how about your party, your party habits, your party practice? Is it like, are you a little
Yeah,
bit more aware? Is it
probably
like a little
got worse
more
than the injury
cautious?
after. It's,
You know?
yeah, I drink more now probably than I did before the accident, just because of the fact that Bali has a party on every single night and we're always
Yeah.
around it. So I'm doing, yeah, three
Yeah.
nights a week sometimes. Then I'll have like a 2 or 3 week off.
Yeah.
Um, I might do like more of a daytime party. And
Oh, sure.
there's this
Sure.
drink here called arak. We drink that quite a lot. And that's supposed to be more bad for you because it's like messing with your head a bit. And I was like, okay, this is probably what messes you up.
Yeah. So tell me a little
Uh,
bit more about like your yoga background. So do you participate in kind of like healing slash in Bali, do they offer like plant medicine stuff, or is that available
yeah,
there?
there's a lot of, they've got like all the lion's mane and the shit legit. I've never really tried any of that though. And
Yeah.
then they have mushrooms. Obviously, that's normally in the party scene, and whether you want to
Sure.
microdose that and have it as a more of a like a mental clarity and
Yeah.
conscious connection and feeling a little bit more powered. But I was always a bit worried and skeptical to do that in case I relied on it. If I felt cognitively better by taking it, then I'd
Yeah.
be like hooked on it. Like, well, I'm just going to take that every day a little bit. And I didn't want to get to a point where what if after 2 years that doesn't work for me anymore? So I up the dosage and then I get in a rabbit hole and get onto worse things. So I've always
Yeah.
stayed away from any sort of medicine and just try to be completely naturally
Yeah.
healing, maybe with breath work,
Oh yeah.
and
Sure.
obviously the yoga practice and just being out in nature, swimming, making sure
Yeah.
I'm not wasting my time too much in bed because of a potential hangover or a late night. But no, get up, go out in the sun. And that's why
Hmm.
Bali's just so good because it's sunny every day, unless it's rainy season, but that still doesn't make too much of a difference.
Yeah.
My lifestyle being able to teach 20 classes because my studios are all within like 5 minutes of each other. So I can get around very
Hmm.
quickly. In London, it's like you have to get the underground, maybe rely on like 30 minutes per gap between a class in case they're only like a quarter mile away from it. But if you're not going to walk, if you're going to cycle, fine. But if you're going to a different part of London, it's like, well, that studio is not going to have a class on at like 11 a.m. It's too random. They'll do like 8 a.m., 7 a.m., 10 a.m., 9 a.m.
Hmm.
And obviously there's a lot of competition. So it's like, well, I can get that 9 a.m. class there, but I can't get the 10 a.m. class there. So it's like, oh, I'll do the 11 a.m. class at another place. So it's like relying on
Hmm.
trying to get all the way around London, doing 4 classes a day. That would be for me way too tiring, way too
Yeah.
much stress, way too
Yeah.
much travel.
Yeah.
And here's just so easy. So I'm kind of put myself in a situation where I'm very comfortable
Yeah.
and I'm almost unable to leave unless I have a better opportunity to go to. And
Oh,
at the
sure.
moment, I haven't looked for that better opportunity.
Yeah. And so like tell me what the yoga scene is like over there in Bali, because for a lot of us it's like paradise in Bali, and it's
Yeah.
very it's a very spiritual healing paradise. Is the classes that you teach, is it mostly travelers, people on vacation,
Yeah.
or
A lot
the
of mine
locals
is going
also
to be
practice?
tourists.
The tourists,
Yeah.
yeah.
A
Okay.
lot of tourists in some classes for sure. You definitely have people that are like regular students, which I did have for about a year and a half, and then
Hmm.
things just people just move and they find different teachers they like. And actually, I did have people say like your lifestyle doesn't match up with your yoga, so I feel like they're seeing through like some bullshit, like I don't know if you're really like into the yoga. I was like, well, I do tell people at the start of class like this is my side of yoga, and I want to teach you this and that. So some will stay, some are like, hey, not for me anymore, but they're
Yeah.
maybe a bit more further on in their spiritual journey,
Yeah.
especially different parts of Bali. There's like the south in Canggu, which I live and teach here, and then there's the north in the middle in Ubud, where it's very, very yoga, wellness, sound bath, sound healing, very, very spiritual. But that gets a lot of stick by the non-yogis. They're like, oh, look at all the weirdos, the spiritual lost souls that are just energetically vibing way too high for us
Yeah.
nomads
Yeah.
versus like the Chango is a bit more like casual that they go to fitness classes and yoga and CrossFit and just kind of balance everything out.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. Back in, so you said something about when during the pandemic, like Bali wasn't really like hardcore with restrictions. What was the energy like over there? Because
Yeah,
what was it like?
they did probably
Like was
what one
there a
month.
death count every day on TV? You know what I mean?
No, barely
Like,
saw anything. Plus, the news isn't really on.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you see some Instagram things of the news like, oh, another 100 hospitalized to COVID. And then they had a lot of people saying, like, oh, we're testing positive for COVID, but they did nothing about it.
yes,
So
yeah,
you're going to come out, they'll be wearing masks for sure for like the first 2 or 3 months. It was masks on,
hmm,
but it was closed clubs and 50% restaurant capacity for like
I
that
see.
April 2020. And
Yeah,
then it went back to like, oh, you can surf at the beach, but just be distant and like whatever.
yeah,
Then restaurants, yeah, I think for the best part of the first part of that year was all kind of half capacity, takeaway only. And then the clubs were open, but it was almost like a secret and paid off by different, I don't know,
yeah,
whatever places, police
yeah,
and
because
whatnot, and you just
yeah,
go
because I would,
clubbing, mask off,
yeah, I would
connecting.
just imagine just because like where it's located, like the environment there isn't as like congested and like these like it's very open air. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking. We live here in a place where we were the last to lift the restrictions. We're in Silicon Valley. I
Okay.
and this could be just my opinion. I'm thinking the reason why that is because there's a lot of important companies here and important people, and it would be hard to shut down Apple and shut down Facebook and shut down Google. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
And so I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself, like it had to serve its purpose, like looking back, like we couldn't have that kind of risk, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, and so now that we're post pandemic, our studio ended up closing, but we reopened somewhere else and um our studio has not bounced back like it used to. But just doing some research, it was already yoga already was declining here on our end at the end of 2019. So I can't
Yeah.
really blame the pandemic for the course for yoga. I'm curious
Yeah.
over on your end, what is the yoga? What is the size of classes over there? Is it back to normal? Is it like smaller than you used
So
to?
at some places, like just, yeah, before the pandemics, when I was teaching, I was on an island called Nusa Lembong and very close to Bali. And that was having 16 minimum to 20, and then up to a 30, 35, 40 in some busier classes. And that's
Hmm.
all tourism pretty much.
Yeah.
Then that was, yeah, 6 classes a day that was being run. And I'd teach like two of those
Hmm.
6 days a week
Hmm.
and was earning, it's like per person. So you wouldn't do
Yeah,
like
per
a
head, sure.
salary rate. So it'd be
Yeah.
per person. So I'd end up making like $70 a class.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is more than this is double what I was making in the UK, even pounds to dollars.
Yeah.
Plus it was guaranteed. Plus my accommodation was cheap. And it's just like every day I was like, very good.
Yeah.
Then pandemic started, everything shut down. That studio never reopened. It's all just like an abandoned area now. There's still several studios open on that island. I don't know how well they do. And then, but in Bali, there's classes that can have anything from 10 to 40 people in a class. In the yoga barn in Ubud, it's world famous. That's got three of the main classes in a day that's going to have like 70 people in that main evening studio. I think like the 9 a.m. class and the 5 p.m. class. That's like a
Yeah.
vinyasa and a yin. It's like, yeah, always packed out, and it's like a queue of people waiting to get on the wait list. Then there's the booked people and waiting for drop-ins or cancellations. So it's like recommended you turn up half an hour early for that slot to try get in, and it's mat to mat.
Yeah, yeah. So Max, you lost me there. That was before, or is that happening now?
That's now. That's now.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
still okay.
So
So
it would have been like that would have been like before COVID.
thank
During
you.
COVID, obviously a lot quieter, like 30 people in a class. But now after COVID, like back to 70 people in a
We're
class
back.
at
Okay,
the
okay,
busy
good,
studios.
good to hear, man. Good, good, good.
Yeah.
So I know that you posted something on your Instagram about your other side hustles. Like, what other hustles do you have? And like, why are you just now how, what is this comfort that you're at now that you're now starting to share? Oh, by the way, I also do this. I'm like, okay,
Yeah. So I was dancing in the club
yeah.
and doing some handstands and some kind of small break dance moves. Nothing amazing, just good
You're
enough
not.
to catch the eye of someone and was like,
Are you
"You
like
should
one of
do
those?
this. You should dance
Yeah.
with me at parties."
Are you one of those like blonde go-go boys that they hire for Asian? I only hear about this because I
Yeah.
know in the
So
Philippines they do
the
that. They do the blonde for hire in the clubs. Like sometimes you dance, sometimes you just show up to be like a host or a hostess.
Yeah. So they have that in the club. So I stepped away from it and just normally would do some stuff in like bachelorette parties.
Yeah,
So they turn
yeah.
up and it's kind of giving like that Magic Mike experience, a little bit
Oh
of like
yeah,
a lap dance, striptease,
yeah, baby.
um, what's
Yeah,
it called? The Chippendales sort of like vibe. Yeah. So I do
yeah.
that sometimes.
That's America. That's
Um,
amazing. That right there is going to be my clickbait right there.
yeah,
In
that's gonna be
today's
good. They actually,
episode,
I've got one video going so viral on my Instagram at the moment.
it's amazing.
And I never
In
thought I'd post it because I didn't want it to interrupt with the yoga and get any judgment. And it has got some comments being like, oh, using yoga to uh, kind of inappropriately trap women in the wrong place at the wrong time. I was like, no, nah, this is completely separate. I just happen to be a yoga teacher, but I can handstand. So that was the
yeah,
main kind of wow of the show. Like, I'm going to do the handstand and then lower down onto their lap and a
yeah,
little bit of the kind of lap
yeah,
dance thing. Yeah.
yeah. That's amazing.
Fun
Well,
though. It's good.
I am like
Different
one
out of
of
my
those.
zone. Love it.
Oh, I'm one of those teachers. I'm like, we do not practice or teach yoga to like show y'all how to judge each other. this
Yeah.
this is a safe space for all of you. Like, I would joke about us having a smoking section outside of our studio, which is, and I would say, you go to the doors and you go like 8 to 10 feet by the bathroom, and that's a smoking section. True story. There was
Yeah.
a smoking section because we also were by like restaurants or whatnot, and so employees would take their breaks and go smoke. But the funny part is like you'll hear people coming like, ew, gross, smoking. I'm like, I just quit smoking 2 years ago. So I was smoking for like most of my life until that moment. But it wasn't a conscious effort of me quitting smoking because I started practicing or teaching yoga. One had nothing to do with the other. But the point is, it's like, I
Yeah.
don't care if you smoke. I don't care if you add yoga. That's all I'm asking. Like I don't need for y'all to come here and convert and transform into this spiritual high being. It's like, no, connect with what you can connect with yourself, others. Everybody gets an opportunity to be on their mats.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
For sure.
absolutely, man. So all right, so we how often do we do the side hustles?
Anything from once a month to 5 times a month. So just
Wow.
varies on
Yeah.
different kind of contacts and
Yeah.
um sometimes they'd be like, oh, there's plenty of like bachelorette parties probably on every day all over the island, but
Yeah.
it's very much like only one or two find out about that company. They're like, oh, by the way, like I want to book this through a different kind of booking company. So then
Hmm.
they'll take most of the fee, but I still get a good fee.
Yeah.
Then I've done it when I just randomly word of mouth speak to people, and they're like, "Oh my God, like my friend's getting or birthday or like something next week. I'd love to do that for her as a surprise. Can you show up and do that?" And
Yeah.
then I'll take like a full rate.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's good.
That's fantastic. So
Better paid than the yoga for sure.
are
But
you
unless the yoga's busy, if I have a busy class, then it works out the same.
Oh yeah, fantastic. So are you self-managed or do you belong with an agency? Is there a network like for hire, for especially
Yes,
you know
it's
what I mean? Like
agency.
for agency, even like what about your yoga?
Well,
Is your
yeah, just. just a Instagram page, like a party company. They obviously have their website, and then
Yeah.
they have like sports cars and um, models, topless waiters, like butler in the buff is kind of what it comes under. So like I'm just a butler in the buff, and then it's like the secret dance coming up at the end or at the start of the night is the surprise.
Yeah, I love that. So it's so they could also hire you like for a private yoga, and out of nowhere you start like dancing.
No, it's never been like the yoga, but the one I main
Oh,
posted
you
was
haven't
just
played
like,
that?
oh, these people hired me as a yoga. That was just clickbait. Like they hired me as a yoga teacher, but
Yeah,
no, when you think you're turning up as a group yoga class, but they tell you something else, so you have to improvise. Was
yeah.
my clickbait for like one of my videos.
Oh, that's great, man. That's great. So, and how is your what is the language that they speak in Bali that you've been trying to learn
It's Bahasa. Hey, Bahasa Indonesian.
and how's it going?
Um, oh, in one ear, out the other. So dyslexic, lazy, British. Everyone speaks English out here, really,
Well, I
especially
mean,
in
like,
this part of the area.
yeah, I see also popping up on TikTok too. I'm like, look at this guy, man. It's like you have TikTok, you got your Instagram, you're like dancing, you're like, then I see your photo of like your injury photo. I'm like, dude, this and that's what propelled me to ask you to get on this show because I want you to tell your story and like you're one
Yeah,
of those people that I talk about like you could be any and all of those things because all of these things are will also pass and you'll be another person next year and you'll be a different person 5 years from now and so on and so forth.
exactly.
You know, it all
So I want
gets
to do music. I want to do acting. That's what I've always wanted to do, really, the music and the acting. And when we
yeah,
first went to LA to do my mum's yoga training, I was then there with her, and I was like, oh, I want to try to go to acting classes or something. Basically, just was all a lot of hassle, a lot of not knowing what to do or where to go.
yeah,
Then I ended up just going to some yoga classes that my mum was taking, and I was
yeah,
like, oh, this is pretty good, completely different to what I expected. And then the guy training my mum was like, you should do a training, and then that's how I fell into that. And
yeah,
basically just was like, oh, okay, I'll come back to maybe the acting at a different point, and just never have at the moment.
yeah,
Also, I think in terms of learning script and yeah, all that, my memory's not great for that.
yeah.
Um, Probably being like thinking about having to know the words plus being on camera, the nerves would play up differently to compared to like yeah, like kind of social anxiety is different for me now compared to before the accident.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, a lot of things
Yeah,
hold me back on like wanting to do music and that idea of always wanting to be in LA as maybe like the younger yoga teacher, male yoga teacher,
yeah.
um, British accent. I guess they like it out
Did,
there, don't they?
did you dabble in modeling at some point too?
Yeah, for yoga brands sometimes to start with, then was trying to do other modeling, but they're like, you're not tall enough or you're not symmetrical enough, so we don't need that. And
Yeah.
then
How
out
tall
here,
are
sometimes some modeling.
how tall are
I'm
you?
5'11",
Five.
five
That's
eleven, but I say 6 foot.
yeah.
Put it at that age.
6 foot
Yeah.
enough.
Mm.
5'11". That's a pretty good height, man. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know
They're
what the
looking for like
average
that
is though.
6'3", 6'4".
I mean, you got to be tall compared to like where you're at. I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are
Yeah.
you? Yeah, because I would think like people would uh they'd be a little shorter, like Asian folk. I don't know. I'm five
Yeah, yeah. So
six.
it'd be different for like the Western models to get hired, and they were like, oh, so they'll be doing a lot of modeling for like jewelry brands, clothing brands.
Sure. Sure.
But again, that's also can be a lot of close up. Like they don't. It's not necessarily about the face, but maybe like my tattoos and the rings and
Oh yeah.
aesthetically how that might look in just like a close up photo
Yeah.
versus oh,
Yeah.
this guy's a model. So, yeah.
Yeah. Totally, man. So next question. What is your personal life looking like now that you're surrounded by so many tourists and doing like dancing and so on and so forth? Like, how do you date? How do you hang out with other folks? Like,
Dating is a difficult one.
yeah, like how do you separate? You
Still
know what I
yet to
mean?
have
Like,
a long term relationship,
wait,
despite my
would
attempts at trying or feeling like I've definitely crushed on people and
yeah,
yeah,
like
had that kind of like, oh yeah, I really like this one. And it just doesn't work out. I'm like, well,
yeah,
don't don't kind of wait around. There's plenty more fish in the sea is what is a good phrase to kind of listen to.
yeah,
But sometimes you feel like you picked out the right fish and you don't want to put that one back. So it can be
yeah,
times to take it slow and being like, oh, I'm in Bali, I'm lost, I need to go heal. But I'm like, okay, I don't want to be that cliche. Just kind of grow up, get on with it, and realize that that
yeah,
person wasn't for you.
right,
And just,
right.
yeah.
Do you find it? a challenge that you are in the position that you're in and meet and where you meet people? Like there's going to be,
Mm,
I'll give you an example. Like obviously, like as male yoga instructors, like we kind of, well, not me because I own the studio and it's as we're queer owned, and I always tell people like be prepared to walk out of here feeling a little gayer than you did before you started. Like I'll make sure
yeah.
that we have a little bit of gay flair and sparkle, blah blah blah. So it's super super playful. But I do know a lot of yoga teachers who have some issues with like women joining their classes and want something extra, something more. And then sometimes they say no, 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 no. And before you know it, something happens and then it gets messy, you know? Have you had that situation or you just
Not
say,
here.
nope, I don't do that. I don't
Yeah,
mix.
never, never had any sort of um, yeah, like mixing like work with pleasure, like dating students, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it had been like that, it's like the one time in the London, it was like, oh, we kind of like were seeing each other outside of yoga, but it was like, okay, you now can't really come back to yoga. Not that it might be noticed or frowned upon. It could be under the radar for sure, but it
Hmm.
might see as like favoritism that, oh, that student's getting a lot more attention, affection. So it
Yeah.
seems like there's probably something going on outside and off the mat.
Yeah.
So usually kept that pretty like off the base and off the radar.
Yeah.
Then as a male teacher, it's also feeling like if I'm doing adjustments on a woman, it's like I'm making sure I've said before, like, is everyone okay with that? But it could, yeah, be obviously misconceived as something else. Like, oh, he wants to do the adjustment on me, so he's doing that on me more often than someone else. Or but that, I'm always like, there's five guys in the studio, and
Yeah.
there's 15 women or something. It's going to be like, I'll do the adjustment on everyone, especially in Yin Yoga. It's the time for everyone to hold, so I've got time to go around to each and every person.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always been in vinyasa, whatever. Don't do any adjustments. Don't go anywhere near people. I'm walking around, but I'm teaching and doing everything because
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared of that, like, oh, I would say like this or put my hand on someone and be like, I don't want them to feel embarrassed, like, am I not doing it right? Because mostly they're all tourists. So they're like, I don't know these people. It's not my community. Please don't make me feel embarrassed or come and give me an adjustment when you don't do it to someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's, yeah, always very much like, oh, just leave everyone to it. And I physically adjust myself. I'm like, hey, look at your shoulders. Well, let's do this. Or look at your hips. Let's align on me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, one, I don't want to overstep the boundary touching. Also, as I started at 16, everyone in the UK, mostly when I was teaching, was women in their 40s, 50s, 60s. And it's like, this feels very inappropriate. Like I'm touching, a mother and a granny. And it's just like, oh, and they're like, oh, you could be my grandson, especially when I was like, yeah, 16, 17, 18 teaching. And my mum
Yeah.
also had taught at the same studio. They're like, is your
Yeah.
son coming in to teach today, Sarah? Like, he's so
Yeah.
sweet. He could be like my son or my nephew or niece, whatever, not niece,
Yeah.
grandson. So that's always been like the kind of funny, like, oh, I'm the young underage kind of teacher. And
Yeah. I
um,
I can't even
yeah,
imagine you 16 teaching, man. That's crazy. And I'm sure like
yeah.
you didn't have all these tattoos at that point.
No, so I started toes at 18 and basically haven't stopped.
Yeah. Dang, man.
And Bali, very, very, very affordable, very good artists. And I've got a good friend that she's my main artist and does most of my work.
Yeah.
Just had the neck done about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So that's fairly new.
So
Yeah.
very, very, yeah, very, very painful, very uncomfortable. Left out the middle bit for now because I think that's probably gonna be the worst, right on the Adam's apple area,
Yeah.
on the front of the throat.
How long was the
Um,
sitting?
about 6 hours, but I did like a 4 hour and then yeah, about 8 hours. So I did four and four, two
Yeah.
different sessions a week apart.
Yeah. Wow, man. And
Yeah.
so, okay, and so what else was I going to ask you? So we've covered that. Um, when are you heading to California?
I think that's the dream. Like it's just getting a little bit more financially set up and stable here, and
Yeah.
then trying to go to Cali.
Yeah.
But I also feel like when I meet a lot of people here and they're from California, they're like, "Oh, you're so lucky you get to live here. You're living the dream. I wish I could live here." I'm like, "Really?" I was like, "I wish I could live in LA or something." Like I kind of feel
Yeah.
like I'm obsessed with Coachella. I've never been, but when I see friends go there, I'm like, "Oh, I want to go Coachella. I want to live in where like Palm Springs area." And
Yeah.
just that kind of terrain with the mountain, the sun, the trees, the
Yeah.
perfectly cut golf courses and stuff like that. I'm just like, wow, I want to go there. But
Uh,
that's yeah, just a weekend festival. So it's like, okay, let me try go there one year.
the
We'll
last
see.
time I went to Palm Springs, huge mistake. I went there for my birthday 3, 4 years ago, and it was in August, and we couldn't even leave the room because it was 125 degrees outside. There's a pool
Well,
out, outside our door. Like you get in the pool, it's like, okay, it's warm, it's hot, but the moment you get out, like oppressive.
yeah.
So I just pretty much stayed. So be careful what you ask for because Palm Springs gets super hot, man. That desert
Super
heat.
hot.
Oh, super hot. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like Vegas as well. Have you been to Vegas?
No, never.
Oh, you're gonna love Vegas. You would love
Yeah.
Vegas. Oh yeah,
I feel like
Vegas.
Vegas, I want to go with a big budget that I'm prepared to lose. But if I get low key, get some good
I mean, but
gambling or whatever.
no, I can just imagine you in that type of that type of environment where the energy is like way at a 10, and it's amazing. It's super fun. If you enjoy having a good time, Vegas
Yeah.
Vegas is great. LA is great.
Also to work there and perform would be good. Like do the kind of join the Magic Mike sort of shows. Like they'll put on probably nightly shows like the Chippendales,
Yeah,
gymnastics performances, Cirque du Soleil. Obviously, I've got no right saying that I could ever do that because they're obviously very very good and very
yeah,
works crafted that for years to be that good at their
yeah,
performance. And I'm just I can handstand pretty well, but yeah, not in any kind of standard that they can
yeah. So tell me real quick. I forgot to ask you. Do you offer online classes? Are you,
online.
yeah. Oh, you don't do live stream?
I used to, but I'm in a situation where I've never had the right phone or equipment or a laptop. Like even
Oh, I
now, I'm
see.
using friend's laptop.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so the dogs are going crazy. Hey,
yeah,
but yeah, so just to be, um, I don't know, yeah, more financially stable to be like, okay, now I'm going to invest in getting the right phone and the laptop, the headphones to make
yeah,
better content, and then be like, okay, now that I'm drawing a better crowd, I'm like, hey, can I do online classes and getting the right one for a time zone? Whether I just have like pre-recorded classes on maybe something like Patron, I forget what it's called, like that app,
Patreon, yeah, Patreon,
Patreon, yeah,
yeah.
Patreon and stuff like
Do
that,
you,
or Zoom, or even via my Instagram.
do you have like YouTube stuff?
Yeah, YouTube. I could try get going. It's been
I mean,
12
I
years.
guess
I haven't started YouTube.
there we go. So that's, I was wondering, like, do you have any kind of content of like 15, 20 minute tutorials where people can click and watch?
No, nothing
No?
like that. And that's what I need to do. I'm always just waiting for the right moment. But everyone's like, oh, this is the
Oh,
right
that's
moment.
all
There
right.
is no right moment. Just do it.
You said that you're 29 now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you're barely scratching the surface in terms of like, taking the gas off the pedal a little bit, like making it more easier and making like more residual incomes doing this and this. Like,
yeah,
the time will come like that might be an option for you, but like, dude, you've got all the energy to like be in person at this point. Go for it, you know?
yeah.
Um, yeah, set your magic out there in person, real time. What is the best way for people to connect with you? Just Instagram?
Yeah, mainly by Instagram.
Okay.
TikTok is not really my yoga page. It's just me doing more Indonesian things to kind of build up a
Yeah.
potential following because it's how I noticed to use TikTok was the algorithm was crazy and it was just like anything can spark. And Indonesia, 400 million plus people here. So I don't know how many phones that's going to be, but
Yeah.
how many accounts of like TikTok and how many are on their phone almost all day.
Oh yeah.
When
Yeah.
they're just their lifestyle. If they've got a phone, they're normally on it. So they're just scrolling, which is obviously quite sad, but keeps them busy and they obviously can build up a lot of attention, but then you'll have a lot of people here like, oh, well, yeah, you're famous on TikTok and have 200,000 followers, but they're all Indonesian. That doesn't count. I'm like, well,
That
why
doesn't
not? Like,
count.
there's still people, yeah. And they're like, no, but
So
they're
rude.
just the
Yeah.
masses. It's one area.
Yeah.
Um, they follow because they like you for a second, whereas then they like follow and then forget to unfollow, but not engage with your content.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like if you're famous more in like the Western world, they're gonna be real active, engaged followers. And I was like, well, yeah, maybe true, but whatever drives up the most opportunity and content and maybe pushes different opportunities into my path.
Yeah. Well, totally. Totally. And maybe some agent from LA will also find you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the
Right.
ideal one. come out
You
LA, meet the right people,
you
teach in the
just
right circle.
you'll never ever know, man. Yeah, last time one of my friends, quick story, there's somebody who I befriended from Instagram, and he and I connected and stayed in touch, and lo and behold, he ended up having a retreat here just about 90 minutes away from where I'm at. I took him on. We hung out for a good 10 days, stayed with us, and we went to LA for 4 days and just had a blast. And 6 months later, he moves 6 blocks away from me. Just sheer luck. Just
Yeah.
sheer luck, man. So I'm going to send that vibe over to you. So,
Yeah. I'm
mm-hmm.
hoping that's what's good. 'Cause my visa runs out here in July, so I think I'm going to potentially head back home. Maybe jumping into the yoga is a bit too less time to doing like 3 months. They might look for someone that's going to stick around for a year.
Yeah.
But I could just try to do some weekend workshops and some other work and work with my brothers, catch up with them.
Yeah.
But landscape design would be a big step out of yoga. So I'm kind of like, what do I do? I'm also
Yeah.
looking for some opportunities. Maybe I apply for Love Island, the UK.
Oh, shit. How
I've
fun.
applied before, like 7 years ago. I was like, maybe I apply this time.
Yeah.
Never had a girlfriend, so I was like, okay, maybe I just like maybe that's how I do it. But then Love Island, I think it's very staged to be like they're just here for the fame, they're here for the opportunities that come from that. So I'm like, well, I'd admit that openly that I would be down for that.
Yeah.
But if something comes from it, then great.
Yeah.
Um, so we shall see.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, getting over to LA would be a pretty good dream, even if it's just like a couple months a year to be able to teach workshops on an international kind of
yeah.
stage without having to be like, oh, my visa's applying for that is all difficult. So it's not worth it to pay, like, I don't know how much it would be for a visa for 6 months or 3 months, but to work as well,
Yeah.
versus just having like a sponsorship sort of thing where I'm sure actors have it. Like they'll, I mean, obviously it's a big industry, a lot of money, so they can be like, oh, we need to pay someone just to work in America for a week, but they're English, they're an actor, and they're going to be in a huge movie. So it's like, oh, they just kind of get it sorted.
Yeah.
They have the right
I,
connections, I guess.
Yeah, I know that we're at the tail end of this episode, but really quickly, like as far as the acting chops, like what is your background on acting?
Um, Not done any really,
Oh,
just in
you're
school
gonna
and
you're
just
gonna
always
start with
like,
the
I want to be an actor.
you're gonna start in a reality show, my friend. Do it.
Yeah. Start a reality show, then try to get on the music and movies and
Oh yeah,
just, yeah, see what doors open.
absolutely, man. Well, you keep in touch with us. I'll keep in touch with you, and I'll keep my eyes open for opportunities like that. I think you're an incredible human being, and God has asked you to stick around to do bigger, greater things, man. So
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you for carving
I
time
feel,
for us,
feel good.
Max. I will add all the links to how to get a hold of you, where people can see you, and hopefully this will be our second phone call of many more to come.
Yeah. I'm glad to do that. I'm glad to kind of be a part of the of Men of Yoga, and I'll get you some photos sent over as well, maybe some videos,
Yeah, please.
um,
Yeah, please.
the hashtags and all that as well.
I appreciate it, man. And if I don't know if you have time and energy to like send me some content for another refeature, it'd be a great idea. So I can
Yeah,
just tell people, remember Max from 2023, he's back and his episode is going to be released in 2 days. So I'll
sure.
I'll I'll check it with you offline.
Yeah,
All right.
great.
Well,
All
enjoy
right.
your class, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I got some class to go off soon.
All right. You be
All
well, sir.
right, great chatting with you. I'll text you offline, okay?
All right. Take care, Max.
All right, dude, that's all for this episode. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, please remember to subscribe. And if you want to plug into the Men of Yoga community even more deeply, you can follow us on Instagram and or Facebook. Links are in the description. And also leave us some comments. Let us know what you liked about the episode, as well as what other juicy topics you'd like for us to open up and explore, because it all gets to be here. All right. So go have a great day on and off the mat, and hopefully we'll see you next time.